Hey, you're right.
When all else fails, push the red button.
What you have, and this one's shut off. You got like 3, 4.
That's one. All right, we did something. All right.
Yeah.
So for the generic fund stuff, well, let's call this meeting order at 5:04. No. Okay. So members present: Kevin Waldron, Derek Farrell, Matt Ozier, myself, Tim Sadler, and Kevin Cate. Chief will most likely not make it tonight due to an immunization. Julia, I thought was coming tonight, but she's not, and I haven't seen her, so we do have a quorum if we had to make any decisions on anything. All right. One of the first things to go into, I don't have minutes. I went looking for minutes this morning to send out to everyone, and I did not see any minutes from the last meeting, which would have been October 13th, was the last meeting we met at. So I'll see where those are at, either with Beth or Kathy, and we'll forward them out, and we'll deal with those next month, our next meeting, if that works. Okay. I did send out the boring report to everyone, as in drilling the holes, not activity.
70 some odd pages.
It was, that's why.
I read them all.
You did? I did not.
I have not yet either. I do know a synopsis that I heard from the chief, is there's concern if there was an earthquake that the ground, it would almost be like quicksand in some areas, is what they found for the tower. So that would just come into an engineering process down the road, is that maybe more support in there to solidify the footprint on that. I mean, currently we have a station, one of our stations is on that property now, so if the world starts shaking, that one's already going into the ground.
Well, the soil requirements for a tower that is, how many feet high? 200 feet high, are far different from, and you have a much smaller footprint with higher PSI on the ground than you do with a building that is perhaps 20 feet high.
Yep.
So I don't know that we need to be concerned about those borings, and during excavation, they're gonna remove unsuitable materials to the proper depth anyway. So
It's just being aware of what we're possibly looking at for with the engineering process. That will be part of whoever the engineer is going to be looking at what he needs to do to make it adapt, or the removal of the footings and all that stuff, absolutely. But we finally have that back, and that's why I wanted to push it out to everyone. I haven't had a chance to digest it yet.
we need to be careful when we look at information like that, because if it's misunderstood, then it can lead people to believe that it's not appropriate, or it's perhaps too costly to build there because of an engineering, or because of a boring report, or any other report that is not presented with proper information.
Information interpretation concerns, definitely something that down the road on that. I just wanted that out to people when they could digest it. The next thing really is last night the commissioners met. You want to talk to that a little bit better? I've been all over the place for a day or so.
Oh, sure. And thanks to Tim and Julia for being able to attend the meeting last night.
Derek.
Oh, Derek, that's right, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He was sitting in the corner though, so I didn't see him. Brief synopsis was that I thought somebody's email said that Eric Pyra invited Keith from Bonnet Page and Stone, but it was actually the chief that invited Keith from Bonnet Page and Stone to speak to the differences of the construction process, be design, build, or
I think
construction.
Eric asked for it to be there. I don't know. Yeah, it was brought up in our
So,
meeting.
what is the real story there? How did that all come about? Why was there a request made And who was it actually by?
I would have to look into more.
The email shows
I saw.
it going from the chief to them. And who told the chief to do that? Who asked the chief
I
to do that?
believe, and I'd have to go back and look at the meeting prior, that when we had multiple documents come to the table, you brought one to the table, which was appreciated. The chief had sent another one to the table. I believe Eric had asked if Keith was available as a potential, and see if he was available.
Is it that big of a deal? Like, I'm not trying to be mean or anything, but like,
We meet you on.
well, it's,
No,
it's
I would want to have a
voted,
peaceful
they voted
committee
on,
too.
they voted on what the committee wanted last night.
Yep.
Can we just move on and figure out
Yeah.
what the next plan is? Like, I don't think it's that big of a deal if a guy came over and spoke to the commissioners about, hey, this is the difference between design
Here's
build.
why it
this
was
is-
done. If it was done in an attempt to influence, it's dead wrong.
Okay, well, and I understand where you're going with that.
I mean, that's a conversation to have, not
Right.
right now, because nobody knows.
I think it was very beneficial having Keith there because, yes, you have a background in it. He spoke to it very well. He explained it. It was definitely, I appreciate having him there. It was something we did talk about in the commissioners meeting that possibly Keith's name was brought up. I appreciated him having there to explain it, and it expanded on some different points of views of stuff.
Well, clarified misinformation that had been presented by the chief on the October 5th meeting, when he made the statement that design build gives the owner the least amount of choices. And I know that that's accurate because I watched the meeting yesterday, watched the video of the meeting yesterday prior to the commissioners' meeting last night. Kevin's concern is one of that I share as well, that there's misinformation and that there's influencing trying to go on, because the prior committee that we sat on, the committee agreed as a whole, including the chief, that we were going to recommend to the commissioners one station at Park Street. That was our charge, to investigate where the best place to build a station or two stations, and the committee worked quite hard and came up with the conclusion that building a single station at Park Street was the best alternative for the district. After that decision had been made, the chief wrote a letter to the commissioner saying he didn't support that, and as a committee we felt that it was wrong. But I agree with
I
John
feel
that
anybody's
I
entitled
agree
to
with
their, it's an opinion-based thing, anybody's entitled to their opinion. I mean, if you guys think it's wrong,
But when you wear the white shirt and wear the gold badge, that carries weight with a lot of people who will not even entertain headbutt with that individual on any level. And if there is influence peddling,
it's just
it's
like,
just wrong.
I think we should not focus on this right now, let's focus on what
I
I'm
think
building.
there's concerns that are being presented. We, being aware of the concerns, it's been brought forward. Moving forward towards where we're going, there'll be some awareness to that, and that's something with how the commissioners are going to charge, who's going to be in charge, who's going to represent the district and stuff like that. So that's something, as a moving forward impact, should be addressed appropriately. And that's, I think, kind of, you're identifying a concern. How we address the concern, we can't change the past, we can be aware of the past, and we can move forward in a direction we want to go, learn from the past. Okay.
I'll give my 2 cents for the meeting last night because you weren't there. I thought he added, I thought he added credibility to the conversation.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry?
I thought he added credibility to the whole conversation.
exactly.
Yes.
It was
So
an
there's
educated, sorry.
There were some good questions that were asked, and he was able to verbalize them well, and I'm not sure that the commissioners would have passed that motion with the confidence that they did if he hadn't been there to answer questions.
I actually would agree with that.
And he presented the same information that I had presented, but again, there's a credibility because of who he is, the position that he holds,
Yeah.
the experience that he has.
And that's.
It is very beneficial having him there.
Yep.
How it happened, I understand your concern. It's something to be aware of moving forward. Is the best way to. I know you're concerned, and that's fine, but we're moving forward in a positive fashion.
Let's move.
You agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
One of the things that was discussed last night was that we would put out some kind of a request for proposal. My understanding from our conversation at our last meeting was that we were actually going to solicit, we were going to come up with a list of contractors that we wanted to solicit. We don't need an RFP.
Okay.
Call Keith at Bonner Page and Stone. Okay, we'd like to sit, the committee wants to sit down and meet with you as we talk about building our new fire station. Call Lars Trafford, Hutter Construction. Lars, you guys interested? We want to meet with you guys and talk to you about building a new fire station. Call Tom Sullivan, Sullivan Construction, the same thing. That was my understanding of how we left things after our last meeting. Is that
The
accurate?
building committee meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. That's kind of what we were looking at. I think one of the things that I took away from last night, and please speak up if, one of the things we did agree on is that we probably should have at least more than one person at the table, because going to the table with one person would just lack transparency. So reaching out to a couple of companies was one of the things I took away from the meeting, just for that transparency, that crosstalk, things like that. The other thing is, Keith, how I interpreted it is that we really should do a basic RFP, because with that, you're looking at, he called it a request for proposals with qualifications, because some of the things you're looking at from that is identifying the overall general conditions you're looking for. It covers down the general condition, the design building fees, construction management, not case management, design builder fees. So there could be design fees and design builder fees, and with that it incorporates other questions to be asked when we talk with these people is lump sum versus change order impacts as well, with some of the notes I took from last night. So these are things that when you put out to talk to someone, just so you have the apples to oranges, because this person is saying I'm going to build you something out of toothpicks, and this one says I'm going to build you something out of Legos. So it's kind of getting roughly equivalent, but not to the full engineer effect and things like that, is how I interpreted it. Am I way off case?
Keith's description of the RFP was accurate, which you reiterated.
All right, so that, all right.
But again, my understanding, and certainly in the need for expediency, we're not required legally to publish this anywhere.
With time periods and things like that.
So we can start making phone calls tomorrow and say, now, that being said, if we're gonna do it through an interview process, then we have to decide who's gonna be doing the interviewing, and what are the questions that we're gonna be asking, so that we have a basis for comparison between whatever companies we bring in. We are required by policy to have at least three.
More than 5,000, I think, should be 3 or 5.
To have at least three prices, if you will. And I wanted to grab Keith after the meeting last night and let her know that my expectation was not that they wouldn't be included, that they would be included, but they aren't necessarily,
It's not a guarantee.
Right.
Yeah.
I will go on the record as saying that I do not want Kyle Barker to have anything to do with this building.
And
Can you elaborate on that?
Well, before you do, I just wanna make sure that there's certain,
Trying to shut this thing off, I really have to.
just remember that, inflammatory
No, this is-
statements
this is
about
a-
people
this
that
is
are
a
not
public
part of
meeting.
it is, so just trying to be proactive with that.
Yes.
Okay.
My concerns stem from our interaction with him as part of the last committee
Yeah,
that we set.
that's why I kinda mentioned.
And the inability of him to be able to give us straight answers.
Okay.
The biggest one being, you can't put, he came right out and said, in a public meeting, you cannot put a 14,000 square foot building on that property. And then, about 45 seconds later, he held up a piece of paper on his diagram that showed that we could put a 14,000 square foot building on that property. And other incorrect statements such as, you can't build right to the property line.
Okay.
Yes, you can build right to the property line. You can't put a retaining wall on the property line. Yes, you can put a retaining wall on the property line. You can use it as part of the foundation.
Okay. Inability to clear answers and
Lack of knowledge.
difference of opinions.
No, those aren't opinions, those are facts.
Well, in his opinion, he could be accurate in what he's saying. He didn't think in his opinion it would fit. So I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt to that.
Are you taking minutes for this?
Well, no, the minutes are coming from that, but I'm also gathering some notes and stuff here too. That's the reason why I'm kind of getting notes as well, rather than waiting until the minutes finally come out. But no, they'll transcribe from that.
Okay.
Yeah. I understand your concern, and that's why I'm just,
And some of the design build contractors may have architects on staff as well. So, you won't have to.
and I know that I shared a list of 4 known design build people in that email I sent the other day. And in addition to that, I have a list of 2 others. I have someone, my father's been an electrical fitter for years, and he's retired and all that stuff, so he knows the design builds out there and all that. And that's why it's kind of like, these are known design build companies out there.
That was in that email?
That was in the email, so that yellow paper, the 4 of them that came from him, which BPS was on there, these are known people that bids are submitted to and all that. And Cobb Hill down in Concord is another one. I don't remember if North Branch was on there or not, but North Branch is another one.
Yeah, I don't think Cobb Hill is really doing much public work anymore. Most of their stuff is housing now.
Okay.
Tom, well, how long has your father been retired?
I got out of construction back in '99, and we were doing a lot of work with them at that time.
Because Tom Avalon sold the company 2 years ago, probably.
I'm so sorry that I'm old,
Probably 15 years ago.
22 years ago.
but he stayed into it. I mean, he went to other companies, and he does bids all over the area, and they go out to other people. He does design build bids, but he wouldn't be a part of this in any fashion. But it's just nice to have those, hey, these are some companies you can reach out to, like you said. So that was 4 known.
What if, to weed some of them out, would it be prudent to go to companies that have done what we want done before?
Like fire stations, municipal buildings? Yes. That would be one of the questions you'd ask them, and that's a question that was brought up last night with BPS. Have you done fire stations before? Have you done them as design build? He wasn't sure he's done them as design build as opposed to construction management, because the process can be very much the same. It's whether you have a representative there, a clerk, or they've done lots of fire stations. Whether they did it as design build, it's just.
Well, that was one of the things we talked about at our last meeting here, and Matt, you found it on your phone, that list of fire
street that's recently built in the last,
With the contractors that have built, I think that's, you know, a good list. Certainly North Branch is a very reputable contractor, BPS is, Hunter is, you
Yep.
know, I mentioned Sullivan, but I don't think Sullivan does,
I haven't heard
Sullivan
that in years.
doesn't do municipal work. I mean, I can find out, but I don't know.
Meridian.
And I don't know if they've ever built a fire station.
Meridian, but I'm not sure they do design build.
Yeah, I don't know, I
They,
don't know.
they
if
do
Tim-
federal buildings and stuff, but,
Tim does a lot of work for the state,
yep,
and so does Turnstone.
yep. That's a big one. But yeah, so there are companies out there, so I think kind of with this committee is, what are we looking to do as the next, get the race running? Coming up with baseline questions, reaching out to people and let them know that we're looking to do and that we'll probably be wanting to sit down, discussion day soon, or
Both.
Would it,
are we putting the cart way before the horses are even bridled up?
if you don't, yes, actually, I'm gonna say this, but if you don't put something out, make it known what you're looking for, because we might know companies that do, there might be companies we don't know,
So a notice of
So if-
upcoming project?
but we don't need 45 companies.
No.
So, my biggest question to any company, priority question is, why should we hire you? You know, I mean,
What do you bring to the table?
how we want to word it, I mean, why you? There's 24 of you out there, why are you the one?
Well, is that part of your interview question?
Well,
Or are you
that's,
trying to
that's
use
what
that as
that's
a-
if you don't put it out there, then I felt like I was on the wrong track as soon as I said that. That could be, that would, I would think, be an interview question, right? But how do you decide which ones to bring in to?
Right, and usually when they,
I think there was 6 or 8 named right here tonight.
yeah,
We don't need 6 or 8.
right.
So how do you pick which of those 6 or 8?
And that's where I think I don't do construction anymore, but I believe that normally when you have a source project, or, okay, Northfield's gonna put on a town barn. What's your first step to solicit interested parties?
In town, we would put out a notice.
Notice of intent?
No, we would, assuming we went the same route, because if you go a different route,
Right.
someone else is gonna develop. But it would be, I would imagine we put out as a request for proposal for design build services.
Mhm.
But my feeling is that's probably a policy matter, and just because you put it out there, I don't mean anyone's gonna respond.
Very true, and that's why we're talking 6
And-
names, but of that, you may only have 2 that are looking on the horizon that they could consider because of all the other projects they got going on, that they could be looking at the next 2 years, they could add something of this nature in.
Are we driven by policy that requires that for this organization?
I think our purchasing policy was, the only thing that Kathy pulled up was that we are supposed to have 3 bids over, is it 3 or 5?
Is it for buildings,
It's still a purchase, I
or
mean,
any purchase?
Hey, for-
any purchases. So, and I would want to do, I personally would feel more comfortable doing that as well. I mean, like I said, the transparency to the public.
If you can't pick from 3, you've got an issue.
That being said, and
So normally you put out a notice inviting interested parties to
And they,
provide some sort of information to
they
let
would
you
send the packet, and then whoever the authority is would look at those packets and
Well, would you also go out of the way to then contact potential companies who may not look for, see the notice, so that you make sure that they know about it?
that's why I would think you would post it into
just,
public locations. or on your website and someplace like that, just to get the notice of the word out like we do with any kind of public hearing or notice.
Is there a place that people know to go to look for this stuff?
Dodge reports.
Okay. Is that like a construction reports or where they, yeah, so,
It lists all the
upcoming,
projects that are, well, whoever puts them in there. Usually public projects are put in there, but, and it's done by state, county, town. You can sort it however you want.
okay.
But we always use them to find out who is building where, rather than,
Or your
Yeah.
next step, yep, to support them.
because you don't always know who. Yeah, Dodge Construction, Central Dodge reports. And they have plan rooms, like, subs can go into their plan rooms and get plans so that they can bid on stuff.
Yep. That's what, okay, that part I've seen, because they come over 3 or 4 prints he has to get done a little weekend.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would be probably one place to post an intent. Now, since you've seen that before, when a new item comes up, is there kind of a template that they go with intent or 2022 Sanford School is going to be building on an add-on? Would that be kind of like a notice for solicitation or something like that, or how would that?
Good question.
Or if I'm looking, is that a membership-driven thing, or does it send out a notice to certain people who have signed up to get certain notices? that
Yes, so
say,
as,
here's a new post.
right, so I'm not sure about how this side of it works, where you have an owner who's looking to post this information. I know from the other side, we had subscriptions, what it was, to the Dodge reports, and they came out weekly. And you would get, and it was sorted how, you paid for whatever you want, whether you wanted like all New Hampshire, all Mass, whole country, if you just wanted like Southern New Hampshire, or whatever it was, that's what your subscription was. And then you would see that, okay, the Tilton Northfield Fire District is looking for contractors to submit proposals for design build on a new fire station. And then maybe a month from now, it would say, you know, that it had been awarded to Joey B. Donuts Fire Department for a fire building contractor. And then, as the time went on, if you wanted to keep updating it, then you would list who the subs were and what the projected start date was. So as a vendor or supplier, we could use those to know who we had to go talk to. From this side, I don't know how it works. They have a phone number you can call and say,
Yeah,
okay,
they have a website too that we could, so I'll do some digging of that. I have
That's
time
gonna be-
tomorrow and Saturday, Sunday.
that's gonna be where you'll reach the most number of
Okay.
possible interested parties.
It comes up as leadsconstruction.com
If you,
when I did the Dodge report.
you know, if you put it in the paper,
Yeah, who's gonna see it?
Right.
Somebody might catch it, but
Right.
for the cost, I can tell you it ain't worth it.
right.
Because print advertising is ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
Right.
And everything's gone
And
down.
if we put it on the Tilton Northfield Fire District website, no one will see it.
Right.
We will.
Well,
That's it.
right,
This is the site you're talking about, the Dodge Construction Network, so that's the one that came up with it. Next to the front page. There you
oh, sorry. Yes,
go. Okay.
DodgeReports.com.
Yep.
is what it is.
Okay. All right, so that's one place to post a intent to build. Okay.
But I think given the, and I'm not suggesting that we should do that, because I think it's a really good idea, something I didn't think about, Kevin, but with the number of contractors that we've already listed off here, as long as they've
Do
built,
an invite to them
as
all.
long as they've built a fire station before,
Please send us plans. or the proposed plan, or what they've done in the past, and how much the construction cost was.
I mean, I'm hoping
Go
that
through
someone
that.
has built a fire station as a basic, that they built one somewhere that we can,
Why can't we just like contact construction, or EPS, and whatever construction company you guys have just talked about, and say, hey, we're looking to build a fire station, can you come meet with us and bring what you have, what you've done in the past?
Yeah, they would, as part of their portfolio.
Right.
And actually Keith has, last year when we met, he did come to that first meeting of the other committee last year, the 2019 committee. He actually came and spoke at that one a little bit, the first meeting too.
Right.
Right. So, is it too premature to contact these companies? What's the committee think?
I don't think so.
Okay, I don't know,
I
and,
mean, is it?
No?
I don't think
We can get the ball rolling, so.
okay.
That's right, I mean, you know.
We're gonna wait for another meeting, and then we're gonna
journey
be
of-
like, all right, do we do it
journey
now?
begins with certain
Well-
steps, right?
Our next meeting is the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I'm not gonna be here.
No.
Well, that's not our next meeting,
And
because we're not gonna have it, because nobody's gonna be here.
Right. So we can address that at the
I'll
end,
be in
whether we
Texas.
need, push it back, but,
February.
Texas Territory?
Well, hopefully, if we can, if anybody can afford them.
so next meeting, we'll address that a little bit further down in the meeting. All right. So,
So I guess we need a plan of attack here.
Right.
Are we,
I don't want to mess it all up by doing it only partially. I want to make sure it's done right. And I'm not, that's why I want to make sure what the committee's thinking here, because I'm
You
stepping
guys-
out of my,
do you guys think that we should start contacting these companies
I
now?
think so.
We can start tomorrow.
why not? Well, then the next question is, what are you gonna do once you contact?
Right. What are you gonna ask them and things
I
like
think
that, and
it's-
that's who's gonna contact. You wanna make sure it's kind of uniform, each one you contact. Very
I think it's-
similar.
It's a pretty simple conversation, really.
Maybe we can build a fire station.
Kevin Kate, I represent the building committee for the Tilton Northfield Fire District, and we are soliciting bids for design build contractors. Would you guys be interested in participating in that process?
Okay.
Yes or no?
Okay.
And then the next question is well, when are you looking to build this? And, well, our goal is to go to the annual meeting in March with a concept and
Concept drawing,
and a
yes.
cost.
Yes. There you go. And then from there,
And then some will say, no, we can't do that, we're too busy, or some will say,
But
yes,
there's,
sir, we can.
if that's the case, which I'm thinking, that's gonna be a common response as soon as you mention 2022.
yes,
Because guess what? We're sniffing in December here. And
I don't think that my thought process, whether it's right or wrong, please, putting it to the public, March of '22, a concept and a cost, I think that would then get the public on board with that. Then from there, you are gonna need a little bit better design-built prints and everything. I don't think you would be breaking ground come fall. I think it would probably be the spring of the following year where you would theoretically be starting to actually move dirt. Is that a right timeline, or?
That makes sense to me, because we'd have to go to the town or to the district at the annual meeting with that concept and a not-to-exceed price.
Correct.
Okay, we're gonna
That'd
spend,
be
we're
part
gonna
of a warrant
spend
article.
$3.5 million. Eric kept saying $5 million last night, just to piss me off. We're gonna spend, we want the voters to approve a not-to-exceed price of $3.5 million, and here's what you're gonna get for it. Here's a nice drawing, and there'll be lots of questions, and
I think there's there's more to it than, because when you're talking that kind of money, you're talking bond, and then
Public hearings.
you have to have bond hearings, and
Yeah.
so it's not like you can, I mean, you can definitely get the train rolling, but I don't know how you pull this off for March of 22.
To lock the money aside,
I
I agree.
hope we could, we can, think I can.
The bond hearings have to be prior to the annual
Because
meeting?
if you're asking the public
For the
permission
warrant.
to borrow the money, well, I don't know, can you do it after the fact, or does after the fact make sense? Were you involved with Tilton Police? And you,
And the police department.
you were, okay.
But typically, when you have when you're gonna have a bond on the warrant, you have to have, I don't know, it's 1 or 2 bond hearings.
It's a couple, I
Certain,
believe.
certain number
I
of
think one, and
weeks
it has to
before.
be like 30 days
Yeah.
minimum before, or
And
60
you have
days
to
prior.
announce it certain number of days before that.
Public hearing, yep.
There's, these bond deals have their own path. They're just, it's like,
Yes.
and I don't know off the top of my head what those parameters are, but
Yeah, we would have to go through either DRA or the municipal association, someone who
someone
deals in it.
knows.
Yeah, someone who has their timeline templates and all that stuff, we would have to pull that stuff down. A concern is if you don't address it at a annual meeting, either March of 2022 or March of 2023, you try and do a special meeting to get a special approval of that, people don't turn out for special meetings.
And because it is a bond,
Right.
the
It's a
required
percentage.
passage is, was it 2/3 or 3/5 or whatever?
I'm not sure if it's 2/3 of the overall residents for Tilton Northfield, or if it's 2/3 of the voting members present at the
At the
event.
district meeting.
Right,
At the meeting where the bond's being considered.
correct.
If,
You
if
need
there's
2/3.
100 people there, you're gonna have 67.
Correct, yes. Yeah.
So it's not rocket science, it's just a cumbersome process.
It's a checklist. It is a precise checklist with gates you have to meet.
It's very, very specific.
Yeah.
And every day that ticks by is one day closer to that meeting where
Mhm.
we'd love to be able to just pull that trigger and roll. But knowing how the wheels of governments turn, I don't know.
Even Keith, last night, didn't say it was absolutely impossible and we were crazy. He definitely had concerns when he looked at the timeline. I could see some concern on his face, but he didn't say absolutely not.
And amongst the many things that need to be decided at some point is configuration, construction type.
Yeah.
the whole
And that's
deal.
part of what they do with the design build. You give them you kind of give them a rough idea of what you're trying to fit in there and what you would like, but from there, do we put plywood up or do we do brick up?
That's what I'm saying.
And those are all decisions that
Once you
we,
have it,
and I say we, the committee and commissioners would,
right,
somebody would.
after you have the
Decide.
yes, go forward.
Are we using vinyl siding or are we gonna build it out of masonry? Those are questions that would get addressed through the process.
But my point was all that takes time,
Yes.
because to come, I think no matter what the discussion is, there's always a certain amount of time that it takes to be sure people understand the concept and how you get there, and, if you happen to have someone who is, I'm a brick and mortar guy, sorry, that's all I'm interested in, brick and mortar, and someone else, well, we can do wood frame engineered lumber. And to get that consensus, it can take some time.
What I'm hearing then is, well, it's within the realm of possibility that we could work through the process, including the bond hearings, and have everything kind of ready to go for a March annual meeting. doesn't sound to me as though it's gonna be a good product that I would feel comfortable presenting.
It would be a rushed product.
And perhaps we continue moving forward. We can do a presentation at the annual meeting saying, this is what we're working on, and we will have a plan for 2023. I know the police station building, we worked for a couple of years to get
They did
there.
it seemed like forever.
Yeah, to get their final product
But you notice
to
when
the voters.
they win, I didn't see it, but I saw people that were involved and did see it. When they win, they had it together. They took some time and built some support, and their plan was well put together, was well presented, and guess what happened?
Right.
And that is huge.
And one other thing that I think that's gonna hinder us a little bit is being on the committee for the Tilton School Fire Station. The chief was sort of handling the day-to-day punch list, and we had contracted with Cal Barker and whatever the company he was working for at the time. And so in between the meetings, there was a lot of work being done that was being paid to be done.
Right.
To help us along. And here we don't have that luxury, so that's a lot of work that, the committee has to pick up, which means it's gonna take longer.
Good.
Kyle was paid $28,000 for the work that he did between the Tilton School property and the Manville Road Station.
Oh, I would have thought it was more than that.
I would have too, if that's what we were told at the last meeting, the last commissioners meeting, it was $28,000.
So I think where it sounds like is 2022 is a very lofty, and the reason I originally brought this whole thing up is because one of the things we were talking about is like, okay, we're looking to build, so this tells us that we're not looking to possibly break ground September of 22. We're probably looking more summer of 23.
Summer of 23.
And that's just part of that reaching out to them, and that's why I'm saying making sure we have the ducks in a row first. So we would be looking more of moving dirt summer 2023, which now you're getting into the construction season now. However, if they can get into something and get the shell up for the fall, it gives them a good indoor working place. And construction people, sometimes they look at that, but summer months, they could say that's school season, and that's when all the schools are shut down and they do the renovations and stuff like that. So, but theoretically, so we would probably be looking more at summer of 2023
For construction.
for construction.
Yes.
Okay. That's just where I'm trying to go with that, was because of when you're reaching out to them. Now that gives them a planning point too, of seeing how many projects they already have in their hopper or on the horizon for that same time period, because BPS may say, that summer we already have 3 big schools going on, we know we have. So that's, okay.
Actually, I'd be concerned a little bit the way things are right now. If you called someone and said, what do you think of this, can you do it? And they go, oh, absolutely, I can get that done, what was that, in 3 weeks?
Right.
I would be concerned about that response.
Yeah,
Because
Keith
there's a
addressed
reason
that last night.
It's
is
just a
that-
reason they're not working.
Yeah, he addressed that last night, that the biggest thing they're dealing with is supply times. Supply cost is there, but it's also delivery time of supplies. That's a big thing that they work with, so maybe if they know they need this stuff and they need this, and this is gonna take longer, we get this ordered earlier, because there is steps in this in the construction progress where, okay, so you have your pot of money that you're gonna be paying to them, and they have to meet certain stages, okay, give us the next piece, and that, and so it's that whole planning, and I'm very novice when it comes to that, but I do know that there are, and that's where you really want someone strong in construction management background or something. I mean, or that company is well established and they have very documented processes. If you find someone who does this type of stuff, then they probably have, here's the owner's checklist that we give to everyone. So this kind of is your tutorial of what is going to work on this, and you build that good working relationship. I definitely, a thought process I have is I would want the company to answer to the committee as a liaison of the committee, whether it's one or two people
Absolutely.
from the committee on that stuff. I think that's, in Inglewood Tilton, I believe the selectmen were in charge of the police station, not the police chief, I think is how they did that. Now, the committee has delegated responsibility to make this work to us, and they just will still have to, yep, and we may have
I
to,
don't know if the chief was even sat on the committee or not.
for the police, Tilton Police Station.
There were officers on the committee, but I don't know if the chief was.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
No. Alright. So, do we want to get questions or just reach out to people and know this is the time period we're looking? Is this even a remote interest to
I
you?
think that's the first step, is to, are you at all interested, is within the realm of possibility that you would be interested or even available?
I mean, because they may not be able to answer right then and there, but if you tell them it's going to be either, it's going to be an expansion or a renovation onto the existing Park Street station. I mean, I'll put it up to the committee, does anyone in the committee see raising that building to the ground and starting over on a shell? Okay, so that's one of the things that we can bring to them, is that it is going to be an existing property,
Renovation and addition.
right, and renovation and addition onto the Park Street building. So if they have that, where they can go on GPS and look at, gives them a couple of days to look at and say, I don't even want to step into that mud hole, or, yeah,
Yeah, do that.
I think that's fair knowledge to them to make it more that good handshake.
And it's not time for it right now, but it's in my head right now, so I gotta get it out. At some point, we need to find the authority on how much of that building can we play with
Yes,
before they own us for
yes.
to-date codes.
And that's gonna come from the contractors.
They're engineers and stuff. When they do the design build, they'll know how much of that. I would assume, it's an assumption.
I mean, someone knows, but beyond someone telling me, they're gonna have to show me in writing.
Yes.
It
Yeah,
says
I would
right
want to see
here,
it in the BOCA, the life safety
whatever
codes and all
it
that.
is, it's
black
in
and
writing
white.
somewhere.
Yeah,
And that's
Yeah,
it.
that you can renovate 60% of the building, or 30%, or 5%.
as long as
whatever
you
it
not
is.
modify, you can modify up to 20% of the structural capability of the existing
Yeah.
structure.
Whatever it is.
Something of that nature, right?
That's exactly what I'm talking about.
You said renovation in addition?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just trying to get the notes for it.
Renovation, in case you're doing something to the existing building, in addition, in the case.
We're gonna be doing
of new
something to
structure.
the existing building, it's not gonna stay the way it is, there's gonna be, whether bays move over or off, there is gonna be some work in there, I mean, no matter what, you're not just gonna put something next to it and have a vestibule crossing, you're gonna have some power systems going from one side to the other rather than redundant power systems. The plyo vent exhaust system would be it needs some renovation and work in the existing, as well as it would need if you had more bays on, drainage, some things like that. There's gonna be some renovation to the old one. Now, the minimum that we can do is better, because that's saving dollars, but there is gonna be renovation and then the
Did the
addition.
floor ever get fixed in there?
No, we didn't do anything with it yet.
Good, let's not.
What?
Let's not. And,
Until,
right,
oh, yeah,
that's what, we added a bathroom.
we put a bathroom in, yes.
I mean, that floor
It's gonna need some.
may or may not be a part of this project.
Right. And that's the other thing he said, is that maybe you design things so that it's good to have, but maybe that we'll have to wait 2 years and come in with level and concrete and do it then. That was some of what,
Whatever happens.
along that lines of what Keith was talking last night, is that you have to, what are musts and things like that. Renovation addition, summer of 2023. Who's gonna reach out to him? Do you want me to as chair? Do you want someone with more? I wanna make sure that we don't
Well,
look
I
like.
guess thing we should discuss is people's availability
Yeah, no,
during business hours.
You're retired, right?
Huh? I'm far from retired.
Us.
What?
So you fooled us.
How'd I do that? You're a pretty smart guy. So, now I feel funny about saying, I think everybody here works.
Except
But I think
you.
we all do,
Except you.
right?
You told me yesterday, you do what you want.
Right, and now I want to finish that damn house.
So you should be calling people.
So, I mean,
I'm not trying to shirk the responsibilities as chair, I just
no,
want to
but
make sure
it's
it's done right.
the bottom line is it's not your responsibility, right?
It's the committee's responsibility, so I want how the committee wants to
So,
do this. I'm just a figurehead to talk to.
I
Have a lot of time on your hands. And
that is-
I just don't want me
that is
contacting one or
incorrect.
two, you contacting one or two. I want it to be
It
like a
shouldn't be
uniform person for
multiples, because
uniform.
then you slip, you end up, well,
Correct.
I called this guy and so did he. Well, what's going
Right,
on?
that just doesn't make us look good.
So,
But you're sort of following up, so what happens now when they wanna meet with you? How do we calendar, schedule, meeting with these folks?
Because a lot of them do weekday workday is when they usually go out to meet places and stuff. They'll come in occasionally if they know that but they don't normally set aside evenings and stuff for their work hours. I mean, they will, but it's by exception.
but I think that would be later on
Yes.
in the process. So,
I mean, I can do phone stuff, but trying to go into their offices around the region and stuff, I know you can see I'm tasked with budgets and everything
that's
going
what,
on.
yeah,
But we don't need to go to their offices.
so,
Right, it's phone initial.
Kevin, here we go.
My vision of how it's gonna work is, someone's gonna make these phone calls. I'll volunteer,
Contact.
I'll volunteer to do that. It doesn't take, 5 minutes on the phone, and you don't have to call everybody on the same day.
Right.
And if we settle on 6 or 8, that's less than an hour of time to make the phone calls. Then, I assume we're gonna ask, are you interested? Here's our time frame. The answer is yes or no. If it's a yes, okay, well, the next step in our process is gonna be that we'd like you to send us
Information.
a portfolio of the work that you've done that is relevant to building a fire station. So if you've built 10 fire stations, great, send us information about these 10 fire stations that you built. If you've never built a fire station, and you only ever built Dunkin' Donuts, well, send us pictures of the coffee pots that you installed at Dunkin' Donuts, because, some of the firemen like to drink coffee. Then that comes to the committee, and we make a decision and say, okay, out of these 8 people who sent us information, we want to talk to these 3 or 4. And then we set up interviews at our discretion, so they would come on a
Yep.
Wednesday night or whatever date and time we pick.
Or if we had to set up a weekday where 3 or 4 of the members could be there, and, yeah, absolutely. I'm not opposed to
So
that,
we gotta volunteer.
and I
Yeah, I don't-
support that
If
too.
volunteers, we don't have to push them into it.
I don't mind, I'll make the phone calls, that's fine.
Everyone good with that?
Yeah, okay,
And we're-
thank you.
So we're starting the process now, but we're
Yes.
looking at
Summer
summer
2023
2023.
for renovation additions to Park Street Station, fire station experience, portfolio, design build experience.
Right.
Okay, I'll actually give this one to you.
Does somebody know what the address of the station is?
I
Because
was,
that'll give, if I tell them,
12 7th Street.
Oh,
that,
Park Street.
Park Street?
138.
149 or something.
Should be on the website.
I feel like going to an auction.
I know where it is, I just don't know what.
Absolutely,
It's just like giving somebody directions. You don't know the street names. You say,
Well, you turned at the
You-
second light. It's
exactly, you
right
turn the
there.
second light, and then when you see
Yeah.
the White House, it's the next left.
Right.
Yeah, if I do
Place
Google,
with the
then
symbol,
149 is
still
the salt
right there,
shed, or the small storage shed right behind it. So 149.
149 Park Street.
There you go. That one I'll gladly. Nope.
And other than, and I don't remember seeing that list in your email, but do we have, do you guys want to come up with a list of contractors that you want me to contact? You know, Matt, you had that website
And
at our last meeting that showed the contractors that had built fire
Did
stations
you write any
for
of
the
those
last 5
down?
years, right?
No.
I'm going to try to get on that Dodge report. You have to set up an email account and all that stuff, so I'm gonna try that first to see what it's like. As you said, it's a service, I'm able to do that in my schedule either tomorrow or this weekend. I can make that happen. And then that might be that additional resources besides the ones that you already talked to.
But they had a phone number, it might be worth just making a phone call to them and saying, hey, you know, I'm one of the fire commissioners and we're
Okay.
looking at,
What's
building a fire station, how do we,
I'll do that.
fire station project in New Hampshire, CMD group,
I think that's what it was.
Mm-hmm.
right? Is that what?
Yep. Because you can go on a company's website, like North Branch, for example, and they'll outline what their
Their
specialties
experiences,
are.
yeah.
You know, some are medical, some are schools, some are retail. I mean, Fulcrum Associates is another big contractor. I don't know if they've ever built a fire station or not.
Right. So all four attachments. Design build firms, okay.
DEW Construction,
Never heard of that.
North Branch.
Yeah. Okay. BPS, and I actually have Meridian, Carino, I've never heard that one personally myself.
How do you spell that?
CARENO, Cobb Hill, and actually all the phone numbers are there too. His point of contact was Keith McVeigh at BPS, Tim Long at Meridian.
Where's that, that was in your email?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's four attachments, so just scroll down.
Okay, see, and I know Tim, I know Keith.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody at Cobb Hill anymore, because Tom
Yeah.
sold it, and I've never heard of Carino.
I never heard of Carino either.
Hey, Hudson, Nashua,
I don't know. My father bids all over New Hampshire.
What about Harvey?
Harvey is another, I'm not sure they do fire, but yeah, you could reach out to them
Harvey
also.
Construction.
Is Bowen on that list somewhere? They're over in Marlboro, I believe.
Bowen,
Yeah.
Meredith,
Meredith? Okay.
B-A-U-E-N.
Ian. Yeah.
They're on, across from the Boulder deal.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know we
Yeah,
don't.
Bowen, yeah.
Andre,
So here's what I've got for a list so far: BPS, North Branch, Meridian, Carino, Cobb Hill, Harvey, Hutter, Turnstone,
Yep.
and Bowen.
Yeah, I
do
heard
you know anybody
Turnstone.
at Bowen?
I know.
It's been a long time since I've dealt with all these, but I've heard their names, and they do, Bowen does a lot of federal jobs.
Now,
Projects and stuff like that.
Milestone built the Tilton Police Station. We want to put them on the list.
I just went to a house they're building on Winnipesaukee,
Who?
Milestone.
I don't want
They're
that.
building a place in Laconia or Winnipesaukee right now.
Reach out to them, I mean, if they have experience with it, I mean,
I don't know if it makes any difference or not, but I think one of the owners of Bowen is a deputy fire chief. I think it's actually Kit.
I
That
don't
would,
know.
I
Andre.
think that would make them
Interesting.
add to his, certainly add to their qualifications.
Knowing what you need for it, and that's why you're looking at who builds fire departments before, because people who build convenience stores knows the convenience store nuances. People who deal with the fire service and things like that know what the fire service nuances are. So,
That's also a word, nuance.
there's a lot of big words out there, Taylor.
The other,
novelties.
the other part of the beginning of this process, that I think in my mind, there's two other parts. Going out to summer of '23, that gives us time to think about how we're gonna pay for this.
Yes.
Is that the charge of this committee?
It's not specifically.
Because I'd love to be involved with how this gets paid for, but I don't know that it's on this committee.
It's something to address as part of the charge. I don't think it is right now, but I think there's a very important part, because that tells you how you can finance it to see how much you can actually build for. I mean, if you can't get a bond or you can't get the financing for more than 2 million, you sure can't put something out for bid for 3.5 million. You gotta know how you can kind of be able to come up with towards that goal. So that's something that needs to be a part of this, and I don't mind taking that to the commissioner and say, hey, by the way, we're gonna look at possible options of this.
Are we supposed to, should we?
Exactly. Should we, are the three commissioners wanna deal with it, or do you wanna throw it on the committee?
One thing we can't do is, this committee cannot hold a bonding.
No,
No.
it would be the commissioners.
Right.
It would be the commissioners, correct. Yes. This is a advisory committee to the commissioners.
But I think the question would be posed to Tim Pierce. He's the treasurer. He does the bonds for the town.
Yep.
So,
I think the first step is, let me take that to the commissioners to find out direction on that.
Are we thinking, are we supposed to be thinking about that or not?
Right.
No, we need to know.
Right.
yeah.
Yep. So a first step is I take that as a due out to the commissioners next Tuesday.
But if,
Yeah, and then I'll be able to get that back when we do have our next meeting, the guidance of
Is
that.
next Tuesday a workshop, or is it?
It is a workshop with 1 or 2 items added to it.
Then
Because of
another
last
part
night.
is, because of last night.
My first meeting.
Oh, with the water district. I'd love to know how that went. I suppose I could have gone to the meeting.
You could have, but it was a non-meeting because of the lawyers.
It was a non-meeting?
Yes.
non-meeting, you never heard of non-meetings? It's a legal thing.
The other aspect is architect. So,
Do they have an architect on site, or on staff?
right.
Yep, there's another one of your questions.
uh,
Well, that's part of the design built up above, is what experience they have with it and how they do it.
It is, but we may say, well, great, you have an architect on staff, but we want to hire our own.
Yes, you could do that, as he would essentially could be architect / clerk of the works, so he would be
You're not going to get any architect to be the clerk.
no, I'm just saying, it's in that you're kind of having the customer representative when you go in with the architect that way. He's kind of representing for the customer versus the builder. Yeah.
But that's something for us to keep in the back of our mind. I know, like Keith mentioned last night, that about using H.L. Turner for the Sampson town. Oh, no, for this fire station they did in Belmont.
Police station.
Police station?
They just developed a police
Police
station.
station, Belmont.
Yes.
They used H.L. Turner.
Yeah, they just turned that over.
Right. So they don't have an architect on staff.
Right. But they have an architect that they routinely use.
Right.
Yep. I would think also with your questions, if you could kind of have like a format of what you're doing to, just for bringing all the notes back.
Well,
how
I
it
want
works
this, why don't I
is-
do this? I'll make a sheet, a separate sheet for each
Yes,
company that I contact with all the same questions on it.
that's what I was kind of getting
And
at,
then-
and you can bring that back, and this is what we have.
Right.
I like that idea, is everyone?
Can you have us this tomorrow by 9 o'clock?
We committed at 9:30. They got a couple things they gotta do first thing in the morning.
this, the first step is Kevin's gonna take that part. I have to contact the fire commissioners about finance side of things. Alright, anything else people can come up with? We aren't gonna do minutes, as I mentioned at the beginning of this, because I didn't see any of the emails in and out. Something we do have to look at is when our next meeting's gonna be, because we're coming into the holiday season, that's kind of throwing a wrench into everything. Normally, we're the second and fourth Tuesday, theoretically.
Wednesday.
Thank you. I don't know why I always say Tuesday, I probably have too much other stuff going on. Yeah, I have too much on Tuesday. So theoretically, the next one would have been the 24th, followed by the 8th of December. What are people thinking? I don't like the idea of the night before
Well,
Thanksgiving.
If he's gonna contact people and they're gonna send stuff in or send stuff to us, I mean, give them a week and a half, 2 weeks. And then on the first.
So do we want to move the 8th up to the 1st? You have, no, Wednesday nights you don't have stuff. Tuesday nights is when you have your stuff and I have my stuff. Wednesdays you don't.
Correct.
Is everyone, December 1st work for people?
Probably everybody but me.
You can't.
First Wednesday of the month.
Why don't we just go right to December 8th? It almost looks like we're getting a year and a half work process, and this is kind of how I'm sensing from tonight's meeting. Trying to get it for March of '22, I think is
Unrealistic.
exactly. So I think that to make sure it's done right, I think that gives us the time until December 8th to have your answers. I'll have my answers. Does that sound good to people? You look like you're hesitant on that.
No, I think that's fine. Couple questions. If, they're not gonna mail us stuff. We live in a digital world.
Correct.
They're gonna email us something.
Right, yeah.
Who should they be sent to?
Commissioner Smith.
You know, yeah, the guy's up to his ass and other stuff to do.
Thank you. So I did set up that Gmail, stupid Gmail name that just started dropping stuff in. It really should go to a district email.
Send it to Kathy or to?
Yes.
To Beth?
Thank you. No, it can go to our business administrator. She can receive stuff and then she can forward it to me and out to the committee.
Okay.
I like that.
Well, we need to let her know that we're gonna be.
She'll know. She just heard it. If not, put my name on it and I will forward the emails out as I get them.
Well, no, it's,
Because it is a district email that I have as the,
I think sending it to Kathy is probably the most expedient.
What is her email on that?
K-Tobine
TNFD.
TNFD.org.
TNFD.org.
In that way, it's kind of going in through a receive process where she can actually, it's received.
Why don't I call her tomorrow,
Yes, please.
tell her of our discussion that,
See what works best as
Communication.
incoming.
right,
Yes.
I'm not just gonna give her email address out to people, say, yeah, send her all your stuff.
You already did, it's on recording. Yes, could you please contact her and see what works best for her?
Yeah,
Okay.
and she may say, send it to Beth, or
Yes.
send it to this other email that I have specifically for those
Yeah.
kind of things.
If not, it can go to mine where it's a district email and then I'll have to forward it out. But yes, Kevin is I'm coming into budget season for the school next. So,
December 8th,
December 8th.
Yes. That would be a Wednesday.
it's already in there. What the hell?
No, because that
That
was our
would have
next
been a regular
schedule.
meeting.
That would have been our next meeting.
We're not meeting on the 24th. I got you.
So on the 8th, and I can tell them if they are interested, that
We're meeting on the
we're
8th.
meeting on December 8th.
Send us stuff prior to.
Right.
And then we can look at what they send us and then
Because on December 8th is when we're gonna decide we want to talk to these
Hopefully,
four.
hopefully we get solicitation that, to work with it.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that that's a lot of what Keith was talking about, that we needed to get out to them. I think that's a good starting point of what goes out to them, and then, yeah, let them know that the committee meets next on the 8th, which gives them 4 weeks, even though they lose a couple of days to tomorrow and Thanksgiving, to at least throw together a little bit of portfolio, which you know they have digitally somewhere, that they just click this one, click that one, and push it out.
They do.
Yeah. Okay, and so you're gonna handle that?
We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
I think that's a fair
So we ought
number.
to be able to get something out of
Yeah,
that group.
Well, I'm sure we'll get,
Yeah.
no DPS will,
they've already have an interest, but we just fair to go across.
Yeah,
I would assume North Branch will. I don't know. I know, like I said, that Tim Long does a lot of state work, but I don't know if they've ever done, actually, they might have done some work in the fire academy.
That, or did they do the DOT buildings? Because the DOT garages down there is essentially building a garage with living space.
Yeah.
So if they have like DOT garage space, that is kind of along the lines structurally, big open areas that don't have a lot of internal support.
Turnstone does a lot of state
Scan
work,
and
but I
load
don't know
tables
if
in
they've
quite a
ever
big
done
part of this.
the fire station. I know Hutter's, when I worked for Hutter back in 2005, we built 2 fire stations while I was there.
Are they still standing?
As far as I know, they are. I didn't build them. I was their personnel and safety guy.
Oh.
I had nothing to do with,
Alright,
although they weren't.
okay.
We went to start Sling Steel in Manchester, and I got there, showed up before the, who was the American Steel?
Yeah.
And their crane wasn't certified.
Oops. Yep, offside.
Wires calls me, he goes, you're throwing the crane off the job? Yeah, it's not certified.
Liability. Alright,
You sure? Yep.
Absolutely.
And I knew the woman who was their safety person, I knew that everybody was taking it. I knew her. I called her up and, you have problems? She's like, oh, it must be like, nope. It isn't.
so, our next meeting is gonna be, December 8th, Wednesday. Hey, I did it. Anything else that people have to bring up that needs some RFIs or anything like that?
Question, I will make those sheets as I described
Yep.
with the questions. Do you guys want me to email them to you?
I am comfortable with your thought process based on the notes we gave you.
No, I mean after I've made the contact.
I'd say bring them all together on the
Bring it
8th.
on, yeah.
Well, we're gonna have the responses, we'll have those. But what if we only get three
Okay.
contractors that are interested?
So we're
I don't
looking
know.
from, so we're, on the 8th, we're looking to have them submit. So if, after you've made your contact with them all, if you have these people, yeah, you can, I have no problem with, I think you send out an email that we had these 5 people interested that we'll probably be looking at on the 8th.
Okay.
Does that sound like
That's
a
fine.
consensus for everyone? Yeah. All right. Okay. And if no one has anything else,
Right.
what? Oh,
Something else.
okay.
As you know, I recognize, having chaired boards and committees over time, I can recognize when someone is taxed. And make eye contact
Oh,
with
yeah.
me, John. You are taxed.
I am taxed,
You are up the proverbial saying, up to my asshole and alligators.
I am very taxed out with budget season right now for us,
So-
and then we're going into school budget season,
So-
absolutely.
I want to make a suggestion,
Mhm.
would be to change leadership,
Okay,
to get you out of the
what's the committee think of that?
another grind.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
You're coming up for or your
Fire
term is
district,
done.
fire district term is done this March if I don't go again, and then school district, I'm in year 1 of 3 in all the subcommittees.
Well, I don't care what school district it is, but if you,
It's tapped, this is what he's talking about, I'm not tapped just with the fire.
oh, no, I
If it's
understand.
only this, it would be no problem.
Right, that's the,
But if you either don't get reelected or choose not to run again, then we lose continuity. We have to have,
so.
Another-
So yes, if I choose to not run, or if I choose to run and am not reelected, come March, either another commissioner would have to step in to the role, and then maybe they move me over as a resident. They could conceivably, if the commissioners chose to do that, keep the continuity and throw me into that role. But the chair of this committee does not have to be the commissioner.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm just on here as an advisory, as a communication between the two, because I've been thinking that as well. I have no problem stepping back from that.
I mean, I don't like to say I feel guilty, but I kind of do a little bit because
Yeah, you nominated me and
we
rolled me
pushed
right into it.
Push you into it.
You did, yeah, it was you.
You know? So,
you said you've been thinking about your time constraints and.
I'm trying to figure out how to make it all work. Absolutely, and as you notice, I'm not arguing you in the
no,
least. Yeah. Would someone else want to be that, or do we want to put a vice chair in there where it's shared, or how does the committee want to do it? 'Cause
Get
I-
vice chair?
I am current vice chair, however,
You were thinking
You were
should
thinking
the
you should be the
head
chair.
no, I have no interest.
Well, being retired,
Yeah,
Right.
being
Plenty of time.
retired.
You'd be able to sit inside those garage doors and be warm.
Yep.
You know, I just fixed my radiator too, that was pretty good. But anyway, I, as I can recognize it, and I also know that I am
Yeah.
committee, board, this, that, the other thing.
Mhm. Another reservation to you is that the commissioners meet on Tuesdays, which has a conflict often with your select board. So you would have problems being there, even though I would be there as like a voice piece, that would be where you would have another conflict in there.
So
Does anyone else want to run this, throw in there? I mean,
I think that the right thing to do is to simply, and it can be done anytime,
Mhm.
because there is no term
Right.
to leadership on board. It could literally change every week.
Yep.
Every meeting. So,
I'll do it.
the proper thing to do is to make a nomination.
Mhm.
And I just heard something in my right ear.
Oh, you weren't supposed to hear that.
Kevin,
So,
Kate, you are now the.
I'm going to
So you
to
guys want
nominate Kevin Cate
Yeah.
become chairman of this
the
committee.
chair. Yep. Yeah, so you made a motion. Anyone else want to second it? I thought I heard just either or. Okay. The question to you is, I know you have other activities you're also involved in at night. You do with the church and stuff like, or the groups. Will that impact you?
No.
Okay.
Who seconded the motion?
Derek.
Oh, okay, I didn't,
Yeah.
that was my left ear. See,
Your
that's
left
the-
ear's bad,
that's the
isn't
bad ear.
Yeah, no, I
That's
thought,
why I sit over here, you can't hear me.
there was two of you that were speaking to it, so one was going to be primary and one was going to be the second. So just with your stuff, and I know that you're pretty dug into this, which is great. So I have no problem with that. What's the rest of you guys think? It's a topic for discussion.
I don't have a problem with
Okay.
Sounds like a great idea.
As long as it's not you.
I'm loving the support.
And you usually are free on Tuesday nights.
Yes.
Okay. So you can make it to the commissioners' meetings and stuff like that, and like I said, if you need correspondences back and forth, I mean, that's kind of my liaison role, but I have no problem with that, absolutely. I'm trying to figure out how to make it all work.
I can imagine, you got more than I do, and I'm just like,
Okay,
You're
so,
retired and he's not.
all right, so we have a motion on the floor, it was a motion, Kevin Waldron, seconded Derek. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, then we got a 6 to, and I'm in favor of it too, so we got a 6-0. Okay, which actually makes it even better for when you call Kathy tomorrow for this part, because that kind of gives that figurehead role too. Well, and you're contacting them, it kind of does have that.
That and $4.50 will get me a cup of coffee at the Dunkin' Donuts next to my office.
No, well, because Dunkin's is more than $4.50.
I don't go out.
I haven't done Dunkin' in forever.
Alright,
I drink coffee, but I make it at home.
Oh, yeah.
okay. Is there anything else anyone wants?
The process for getting additional members. I talked to Casey Namanusi last week.
Northfield or Tilton?
He's Northfield. He said he would be interested in serving.
Alright, so I will take his name to the commissioner, so cost with Tim Pearson and Vaughn and Casey.
KC, letters, no.
Yeah.
Oh, Casey.
K period
It's
C.
K period.
K period C.
Okay,
His name is Keith, but
okay,
everybody knows it was Casey.
okay. I will take that to the commissioners as well, just to, whenever, wants to know whatever they gotta do. They're not gonna say no. I'll get on a table if they do.
So that gives us another Northfield resident.
It does, we
Are we
had,
missing a Tilton resident?
we are, and I forget his name, I haven't got it buried in my head yet.
What, isn't
He
he?
shared up one time.
Yes.
And we didn't know who he was.
Yes,
We thought
I
we
screwed up bad that meeting, yes.
But you have him on the email list.
I did, I made sure that I pulled out the email list and sent it to him this time, I wanted to make sure.
Now, is Julia Tilton or Northfield?
Julie is Northfield,
She's Northfield.
Northfield. So,
She said she lives on Bean Hill or something, don't she?
okay, so I will, we have the roster and we'll do a transition. I mean, I'll still help out everywhere I can, I mean, but, yeah, no, I have no problem with that. All right, well, I'm gonna call my meeting adjourned as long as there's nothing else. And you get to start it up next time.
Cool.
Yeah, so we'll get a good transition plan for Kathy, Beth, for the minutes and things like that.
Okay.
And how we want to do the agenda, but no, I do appreciate that, and I won't argue with you in the least.
I wouldn't, it's just that, you know, too much is too much.
It is. All right, and adjourn at 6:26.